Throwing petals like, do you love me or not? Head is spinning and it don't know.
What if two kids from North Shore, Oahu, walked onto the most feared stage in the world, America's Got Talent, with absolutely nothing in their hands? No guitar, no piano, no band. Just two small bodies, two pairs of lungs, and one original song they wrote in their bedroom. On June 9, 2026, Nyjah Music and Zyah Rhythm did what every vocal coach in America would call career suicide. They performed their original song, Heartbeat, live, relying only on the harmony of their two voices. And in 90 seconds, they made 4 of the cruelest judges in the world fall completely silent, then cry, then give them 4 yeses that would change their destiny forever. But why did they refuse to hold a guitar? Why did they choose the most dangerous way possible? And what does it have to do with a secret message from their uncle, Bruno Mars, which was the real reason they did it? Hello to our big Bruno Mars family all over the world, welcome back. If you are new here, hit subscribe right now, because this 2-part video will uncover the most brave and most heart-touching story in Season 21 of AGT. Many other channels reported that Nyjah and Zyah performed with a guitar. That is wrong. And that small mistake actually erases the biggest miracle of their audition. The miracle that they were brave enough to perform with nothing, only with their voices. That was not carelessness, that was a statement. A statement from the Hernandez family. I will take you back to the night of June 9, 2026, second by second, what it feels like to stand on that giant stage with no instrument to hide behind. I will show you why Simon Cowell, a man who hates auditions without music, stood up for them. I will break down the lyrics of Heartbeat that is actually a letter to their uncle, and I will tell you what Nyjah whispered to Zyah right before the stage lights turned on, a sentence that made women all over the world cry when they heard it. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will understand why the decision to not hold a guitar was the most Bruno Mars decision ever. And why that is exactly why Simon Cowell became so worried and had to call them back to his private home in Malibu. Get your tissues. Because this is not about vocal technique. This is about the courage to be heard while being completely naked.
Throwing petals like, do you love me or not?
Imagine a small wooden house in North Shore, Oahu, where the waves are the wall clock and the wind is the radio. In that house, Nyjah Music, the older sibling, and Zyah Rhythm, the younger one, did not grow up like typical musician kids who were given classical piano lessons since they were 5. They grew up by listening. They listened to their uncle, Bruno Mars, who when he came home to Hawaii between world tours, never brought expensive toys as gifts. He brought unfinished melodies. He would sit on the floor, cross-legged, and hum, and he would ask Nyjah and Zyah to find the harmony. Not with a guitar, but with their mouths. With their voices. Bruno always told them, and this was confirmed by a close family friend who spoke anonymously to a local Hawaiian media outlet, a guitar can be bought, a piano can be rented, but if you can make people cry with just your 2 voices meeting in the air, with nothing else, then you will never starve in this industry. You will be eternal. That message was planted so deeply in Nyjah and Zyah's hearts. So when they wrote Heartbeat, they did not write it on a guitar. They wrote it in the most ancient, most Hawaiian, most family way possible. Nyjah would sing one line of melody, and Zyah would answer it with rhythm, with a clap on his chest, with a stomp of his foot on the wooden floor, with a soft beatbox sound he learned from watching old videos of Bruno when he was still an Elvis impersonator in Waikiki. Heartbeat was born as an a cappella song. A heartbeat, a real heartbeat, not a string pluck. So when they got the call to audition for AGT Season 21, a big debate happened in the family. Some family members suggested they bring a backing guitarist, or at least bring a ukulele to look more Hawaiian, more safe. But Nyjah refused. With tears in his eyes, he told his mother, if we bring a guitar, they will see the instrument, not hear our heart. Uncle Bruno never used a guitar to make people fall in love with him. He used his voice. We have to do the same. That decision was considered crazy by many people. In AGT, performing an original song is already very risky, because the judges and the audience do not know the song. To perform an original song with no instrument, relying only on a very thin backing track and the vocal harmony of two siblings. One flat note, one harmony that is slightly off, and you will look like an amateur in front of 20 million viewers. On the morning of June 9, 2026, at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, the atmosphere backstage was extremely tense. Nyjah and Zyah stood in line with fire dancers, magicians, and opera singers. Everyone was carrying big props. They were just the two of them, wearing simple, casual beach clothes, nothing flashy. A crew member asked them, "Where is your instrument?" And Zyah answered with an innocent but piercing answer, "Our voice is our instrument." That crew member, who later wrote about his experience on Threads, said he got chills hearing that answer. Because he knew, kids who are brave enough to say that are usually one of two possibilities: they are the most genius people in the building, or they will become the biggest laughing stock. The stage lights finally turned on. Their names were called: Nyjah Music and Zyah Rhythm, from North Shore, Oahu. They walked to the middle of the stage, which was as big as a basketball court. There was no chair, no guitar mic stand, nothing to hold. Their hands were empty. And it was precisely that emptiness that made the entire auditorium suddenly go silent. The audience was confused. The judges were confused. Simon Cowell was seen frowning, a danger sign that usually means he will press the buzzer soon. A very soft backing track began to play, just a warm synth pad and a slow drum beat, like a heartbeat, thump, thump, thump. And then Nyjah opened his mouth. The first sound that came out was not a loud singing. It was a whisper that sang. Nyjah started the first verse of Heartbeat with a falsetto voice so fragile, so honest, that you could hear his breath trembling. He was not singing to the auditorium. He was singing to his sibling. He looked at Zyah, and Zyah looked back at him, and at that moment the harmony happened. Zyah came in, not as a background singer, but as the heartbeat itself. He provided the bottom layer, a deep and warm alto harmony. He created rhythm with his own voice, a very subtle vocal percussion technique that made the song feel alive even without a guitar. When Nyjah sang the high and floating main melody, Zyah became his ground, his anchor. The lyrics flowed, "We learned to sing before we learned to fly. Mama said the ocean carries our names to the sky." On that line, Nyjah closed his eyes. Zyah held his brother's hand. There was no guitar to strum, so they held each other as each other's instrument. And in the chorus, the real miracle happened. They both inhaled at the same time, a synchronization that can only be done by siblings who have been singing together since in the womb, and they released a two-voice harmony so perfect, so pure, that the entire auditorium with thousands of capacity felt like a small bedroom in North Shore. No one screamed, no one whistled, everyone just listened, frozen, because they were witnessing something very rare in this era of autotune, which is the naked honesty of vocals. The camera panned to Sofia Vergara, and it was clear that tears were falling without her realizing it. Heidi Klum held her chest. Howie Mandel's mouth was open. And Simon Cowell, who usually was busy writing notes, he stopped writing. He just stared, with both hands folded in front of his mouth, a pose that indicates he is feeling something very deep. Those 2 minutes felt like a prayer. When the song ended, when the heartbeat backing track stopped, they ended the song not with a high-pitched shrieking note, but with a whisper of harmony that disappeared into the air, like a wave returning to the sea. Silence. Again, silence for 3 seconds that felt eternal. Then an explosion. A standing ovation so loud that the stage floor shook. Howie Mandel shouted, "That was the most beautiful, most risky, most honest thing I have ever heard on this stage. You didn't need a guitar, you didn't need anything, you have everything right here." Heidi Klum said, "Your blend, your sisterhood, brotherhood, it is angelic, I forgot to breathe." Sophia with a trembling voice said, "You sang with your soul naked, Thank you for reminding us what music is." And all eyes were on Simon. Simon stood up slowly. He took the mic. And he said a sentence that would become the headline all over the world the next day. He said, "I have to tell you, I hate it when people come here with an original song and no instrument to hide behind, because usually it is a disaster. But tonight, your lack of guitar was your greatest strength. The fact that you had nothing to hold on to made us hold on to every note you sang. Where did you learn to be that brave?" Nyjah answered with a voice still shaking from adrenaline, "Our uncle taught us, if you have something real to say, you don't need anything else." That answer made Simon speechless. For yeses were given without debate. That night, the world exploded. And the next day, when their identity as Bruno Mars' niece and nephew was revealed, only then did everyone understand. Of course, they were brave enough to perform without a guitar. Because their uncle is Bruno Mars, a man who can make an entire stadium sing with just his smile and his voice. That courage is in the bloodline. Comments from female fans all over the world flooded the internet. A mother from Manila wrote, "I cried because they were so vulnerable. No guitar to hide their shaking hands, just their voices holding each other." A grandmother from Texas wrote, "My granddaughter wants to audition for her school play, but she is scared. I showed her Nyjah and Zyah with no guitar, just courage, and now she says she wants to be brave like them." This is why the decision to have no guitar is so important and so heart-touching. This is not just a musical choice. It is a symbol of Bruno Mars' message to his family. Never hide. Never use props to cover your fear. If you are scared, let people see your shaking hands, but keep singing. But after the euphoria of those 4 yeses, came a new chapter that was far more frightening. The new format of AGT's Season 21, Judges Callbacks. Simon Cowell chose Nyjah and Zyah as one of only 6 acts he wanted to see again. And he did not call them back to a safe studio. He called them to his home in Malibu. In that house overlooking the Pacific Ocean, Simon had prepared a test that would test whether their courage without a guitar was a coincidence or an identity. He invited Normani, who knows exactly what it feels like to be a young girl in a cruel industry, and Pooh Bear, the songwriter who has worked with Bruno Mars and knows exactly what the Hernandez family standard is like. In that room, without a big stage, without a cheering audience, just a sofa, a piano, and the ocean outside the window, Nyjah and Zyah had to perform once again. And according to early reports, they performed even better than the first audition. Even without a guitar, even with just their voices, they sounded stronger, more mature. Yet Simon, after praising them, looked worried. He said a sentence that confused everyone, "I am worried about your limited experience and the huge pressure." Why would a judge who just saw a better performance feel worried? Is it because he knows that performing without a guitar in the live shows that will start on August 18, 2026, in front of 44 of the best acts including 10 Golden Buzzer winners, in front of America, who now knows they are Bruno Mars' niece and nephew, will be 10 times more pressure? Is he afraid that their naked honesty will be eaten alive by an industry hungry for gimmicks? The answer to all of Simon's anxiety, and the final decision he made on the episode of August 4, 2026, where he finally announced that Nyjah and Zyah would advance to the live shows and chase the $1 million prize, we will break down completely in Part 2. In Part 2, we will also discuss their secret connection to the Lilo and Stitch 2025 movie, the burning love song they sang with Bruno, and the single Heartbeat that was released on June 15, 2026, and now has hundreds of thousands of plays on Spotify. So stay here. Don't forget to like and write in the comments, do you think Nyjah and Zyah's decision to not play guitar during the audition was the bravest or the craziest decision you have ever seen on AGT? Did you feel their courage right into your heart? Type below, I will read them all. See you in Part 2, where that heartbeat will be tested in Simon Cowell's Malibu home.